see me. In other words, okay, well, you can sort of see half my face. The topic comes up about awakenings and what's going on with Earth Ascension. Everything happens in the now, okay? And the now moment in a three-dimensional world where we are coming from, it seems to go through linear time. But if you think about it, Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of now. You're always in the now, even though you're traveling through linear time. And the idea is that some people are awakened to enlightenment, let's call it, earlier than others. Some, might take lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to become enlightened beings. And the bodhisattvas sit there and hold space until you do. And then the thought is, well, somehow the bodhisattva should be rewarded for sitting there and holding space. And, maybe he should be, I don't know. It comes about because of this element of time and the thought that you are doing something, that you being an ego person are doing something. And in linear time, it often seems like you are doing things. You go and you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, you are doing something and you are getting paid for it. But at higher levels of consciousness, you come to understand that, that comes from a lower level of looking at things. It's a lower level of consciousness understanding of cause and effect. And cause and effect is not true at higher levels of consciousness. It's very strange. But when you get to the higher levels of consciousness, you start to, it'll be shown to you, consciousness will show you that your ego is not doing things. Even though you used to think that you were doing things, your ego does not do things anymore. It is consciousness itself, which is a separate item from ego that does things. And I have other lectures that talk about the doership and, the fact that the ego does nothing at all. It is an artifact of lower dimensions of consciousness. So anyway, what I was getting to was the idea that, if we were going through this theoretical Earth ascension, and some people are here earlier, incarnated earlier on the planet than others, the different waves of, for example, the Pleiadians said there was different waves of Pleiadians, indigo children, and then there was crystal children, these different waves of people. This is kind of storytelling. It's not true. Because it really goes and it pumps people's egos, I was put here for the purpose. We are the ones we were waiting for. It's story. It's story, and it comes from low levels of consciousness. And, it's entertaining, but at higher levels of consciousness, it's simply not true. Everyone wakes up in the now moment, even though you see the now moment appear through linear time. In linear time, somebody seems to be more enlightened than somebody else. But if the whole planet is ascending to an enlightened state, it all happens in the now moment. And the now time is an artifact. It's not real. It's hard to get your head around it. And, even now, I can't get my head around it because it's just, you can't because you're coming from time, and you're going to, my teacher, Kealoe Powell, called it vertical time. So instead of going linear time, through the years and the months and the days and the hours and the minutes and the seconds, we are going into vertical time, which is now. So don't say you're doing things. In other words, don't say you're healing other people. And I know we're coming from a paradigm where you would go and see a doctor as a healer, energy healers, Reiki healers, quantum touch healers, myriads of different kinds of healings. You could go to Lourdes and go for a bath and get a healing. And you would attribute it to the person, place, or thing that was giving you the healing. it's incorrect. It's what you say when you're at lower levels of consciousness, and we actually pay people. The spiritual teacher, Dr. David R. Hawkins, said in one of his lectures that there's a really weird quirk, is that sometimes what happens is that if you as a patient go to see a doctor to get a healing from the doctor and you pay the doctor, he said it's quite possible that the doctor is the one that's got the bad karma and you're actually paying money to the doctor to help him clear his karma. Strange, but Dr. Hawkins did talk about that in one of his lectures. So, these are artifacts of going through the levels of consciousness till you get to higher and higher enlightened states. And, don't expect that you're going to stop. Enlightenment never stops. Healing never stops. In other words, you continually grow. And if you're not growing, then there's something wrong and you need to examine what is it that you're holding on to. One of the things that Dr. Hawkins often talked about was he called it juice. In other words, Stuart Wilde called it the electricity of the ego. Juice and electricity of the ego it's a feeling that, you're special. It's a specialness. The hooded sage, Chris Krepchik, called it, he called it slime green. It's specialness, elitism. I'm better than you. No, you're not. You're not. No one is better than anyone else. You're all creatures of consciousness, and you are not better than the other things. Now, if a mosquito is on your arm and, you don't want to get bitten by it, well, you're going to whap it and kill it. Or a scorpion, you're going to stamp on it. Are you better than the scorpion? No, but you're protecting your body. There's details here, and people can come at it and say, well, what about this, what about that? But we're talking about this from a consciousness field, and I can go on, but I wanted to go to this point that people are not healing other people, and even though they are charging money for it, this is a transitional period where we're playing with money, and it is not a person. If a person says, I am healing you, maybe they're using it because English is a language of duality, me and you. It is not a unitary language. But they're not. They are not, even though they, their body, you might, with Reiki, I might be taking my hand and putting it on you, and we're feeling a flow of energy, and somebody says, well, you're a Reiki energy healer. At lower levels of consciousness, yeah, that's what you do, is you pay somebody to come and give you a Reiki healing. But at higher levels of consciousness, you look at that and you say, well, it's an artifact of duality, and at lower levels of three-dimensional worlds, for example. It's not what's really happening. And the juice you get out of it is the money or the ego boost that says, oh, I'm special and I can do these things, and, God must love me more than the person who I'm healing. Get that out of your head. That's incorrect. And, it's actually a spiritual trap. And if you go around saying to people, I'm special, and I'm doing all this stuff, you may actually be doing these things and you may be feeling things in your body, but your body doesn't actually belong to you. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's a gift from spirit. It's a gift from consciousness. And, you say, well, that's ridiculous. Well, you look into it and, meditate on it, and maybe you'll get some more information on it. But, it's all egotistical. It's all the idea that I'm a separate thing from everything else, and you're not. So there's my lecture. I hope you get something from it, and, let go of the juice, let go of the electricity of the ego. You'll feel it, and, if you want to progress, you have to let go. I am a creature of consciousness and, colloquially known as Bobby Burrows, and I hope you enjoyed my lecture.